Republicans were charged with 161 counts of fraud. This man, standing next to me, got them off everything. Yeah. Now for 161.
We need a Ron Paul banner right behind Joel. Big banner, big banner. Ron Paul banner right behind Joel. So we got a sign. There we go.
Okay.
There we go. Sign. Flag. Oh, we got a few more coming, Joel.
Flag.
Flag would be awesome. Here comes the flag. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Joel Hansen.
I wore my liberal tie today. It's got Santa Claus waving the American flag. Because the liberals think that the federal government is Santa Claus.
Oh, yeah.
I have to kind of tone down my supporters here. I was one of 9 attorneys who were defending 9 defendants against the IRS. I want to give you a little background about how this happened. Today we're celebrating the Boston Tea Party. In 1765, the liberal socialists in the British Parliament figured out a way to enslave the American people and steal their wealth. It was called the Stamp Act. The Americans had a different name for it. It was called Taxation Without Representation. So in 1773, they threw the hated tea and the hated tax stamps into Boston Harbor. In 1775, they started the American Revolution. They threw off the chains of tyranny, and they became independent Americans and established an independent America. But through this experience, they learned a bitter lesson, and that is that the issuance of paper fiat money, unbacked by gold or silver, is another way that the government can steal the wealth of the people. So when they established a republican form of government through the United States Constitution that they worked enslaved to bring forth for us to benefit from, they said in there that the standard of the American economic wealth was the silver dollar. You've heard of pieces of 8? That's the Spanish silver dollar. And they adopted that as their dollar, their standard dollar, and they enacted it into law in the Coinage Act of 1792. And in that act they said it's a capital offense to debase the currency.
Hang the bankers!
Good idea.
Don't listen to him, that's my brother. So, that was our form of money. Honest money, gold and silver was our money from then until 1934. Bad year. So then, in the beginning of the 20th century, the liberals figured out how to do it again. The same way the Parliament had done it to us in 1765, the United States government started their plan to do it to us again in the 20th century. Of course, the first thing they did to enslave us and steal our wealth was to pass the phony 16th Amendment.
Yep.
That same year, they passed the Federal Reserve Act. Wonder how that happened. And through this means, they have inflicted the sickness of socialism upon the American people. It's called taxation by misrepresentation. So they gave us the progressive income tax. Then they gave us the Federal Reserve, which is neither federal nor does it have any reserve. Then in 1934 they stole all of our gold coins and they gave us Federal Reserve notes instead that said on them, redeemable in lawful money. Well, there wasn't any lawful money at that point, was there? Then they gave us in 1963 Federal Reserve notes with no promise to pay in lawful money. Then in 1965 they gave us copper sandwiches in place of silver coins. But they still look kind of like silver coins. In 1977, Russell Monk, the Assistant General Counsel for the United States Treasury, wrote an opinion letter in which he said, a Federal Reserve note is not $1. Then, in 1979, they gave us the Susan B. Anthony coins. They were so bad that nobody would use them. And so they sat in the banks. Well, I think that was the last straw. They'd fooled the American people long enough. So in 1985, the Ron Paul Revolution began. Ron Paul got together with some other great congressmen and they passed the Gold and Silver Bullion Coin Act of 1985, thus restoring honest gold and silver money to the United States of America.
Yes!
And they said, we want you to challenge the Federal Reserve System with this money. Here. I had to borrow this from my brother. This is one of the coins. The reason this exists today is because of Ron Paul. It's a real silver dollar. It's almost exactly the same as the Spanish pieces of 8 that were in our Constitution. This is real money. You can bite it and it doesn't tear. Louder, okay.
Now hold it real close.
Right here.
The mic. The mic real close to your mouth.
You mean the microphone? Oh, I thought you meant the coin. All right. Does that sound good?
Yes.
Oh, okay, so it says right here on this coin, in God we trust. It says liberty. It says United States of America, 1 ounce fine silver, $1. $1. Real money. Well, there were some folks here in Nevada that thought that they would believe the government when it said that this was $1. Right?
Bad move to trust them.
Yeah. Why would you trust the government? Anyway, it says $1 on here, so they said, and there was $50 gold coins that said, this is $50. So they decided that they would believe the government and start using this as real money. Started paying their workers in gold and silver coins. And the workmen started reporting their income in the face value of these gold and silver coins. Well, the IRS didn't like that very much. Because when you combine inflation with their fiat money that they just keep printing and printing and printing and printing and printing, with a system of progressive taxation, then everybody is all of a sudden rich. And we're all of a sudden in the 35% tax bracket. The poor folks are in that bracket. Everybody's in that bracket. Tax the rich? Well, we're all rich now because we got millions of worthless Federal Reserve notes in our pockets. Right?
Right.
So this challenges that system. It challenges the socialistic system that's been inflicted upon us by the Federal Reserve System and its partner in crime, the IRS. You know how you spell hypocrisy? HYPOIRSY. Right? Okay, the IRS said, no, you can't calculate your income at the face value of these coins. You have to calculate it in Federal Reserve notes. And we said, so show us the law. There's no such statute.